Hi, my name is Aniruddha, and this time I came up with new video called as Java Full Stack. It's a crash course, and in this crash course what we are going to see: what is a Git, Java 11 or Kotlin, database connectivity, Spring Boot integration, what are the microservices, Angular and the React, Docker, CI/CD, AWS cloud. Now, so when you talk about the Java full stack, right? So a lot of things will come together, and you are going to build the full stack applications. What are full stack applications? From the development to the deployment, everything you can do on your own. One developer can do development till the deployment. One developer is very well aware of all the things from the development to the deployment. Full stack. And today we are going to see a crash course about Java full stack. Well, let me tell you, so this is just a crash course. I would like to complete it in 1 hour, right? But I also provide a training, online training, right, which is much more in depth, how exactly things are working, right? So there would be a batch. In a batch you would be getting enrolled, and over there I am going to deliver the session in depth. If you like that, or if you want that, right, or if you like this video and if you want to get a training, right, you can contact me from the details given in the descriptions. Thank you. Now let's move ahead with the course. Today's crash course, that is nothing but Java full stack. So when you talk about the Git, what do you mean by Git? So let me just go ahead to the GitHub, and here I would like to show you. So this is something, a Git. This is something, a website, right, which allows you to collaborate with each other. Consider that you are 10 people, and 10 people wants to communicate with each other, not by means of chatting, right? You want to communicate by means of, what you can say, code, right? So I am developing one code, you are also developing one code, and we need to collaborate with each other. There should be some guideline, there should be some process, and that process is given by one software solution called as Git. And this is a website, github.com, which has implemented all that guidelines. It's a free, right? For the public repositories and for 5 private repositories, it's free and you can use it, no problem. Now just let me go over here and see here. So this is, or you can say, this is you. Our concern is that this is you, and this is your friend, and this is your friend, and both want to collaborate with each other. Consider that you are developing a Java application, a social media application. You are developing social media application and you want to collaborate with each other. So this guy says that, or let's have one more friend. So this is one more friend you have. So this guy says that I am going to write the front end. I'm very good at creating the designs. I'm very good at creating the layouts. I'm very good at, what you can say, presenting the things. So that's why I will take the responsibility of developing the front end. So this guy can work on the front end. Now she is your friend, she thinks that I am very good at the database. So she thinks that I would be developing on the DB part. Whatever database related things are there, that things I can handle, no matter any database, that can be SQL, no SQL or whatever. She said that I am going to work with that database very properly. Just leave it to me, right? So this guy, he says that I'm going to develop the front end. She says that I'm going to take care of the database. And this guy says that, well, I'm good at servers. I like to work with the servers. So I will work with the backend. I will write the backend scripts, REST API, security, and blah, 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 whatever. So he says that I will work on that part. So you three people are there and you three people want to collaborate. So he is going to write some Java files. She is also going to write some Java files. And this guy is also going to write some Java files. But how do you collaborate with each other? Are you going to send the emails that this guy is going to write some code, he is going to mail her and him, right? Again, she is going to make some changes in the Java file. Again, she is going to mail him and him. Is it going to happen in this way? Well, this can happen, but that's not the good practice. That's not the good approach. And that's why you need something very concrete. You need some software. You need some automated tool, right? And what you guys will do, you will write, or you will create one common folder, right? And this guy is going to transfer the data to this common folder. She is also going to transfer data to this common folder, and he is also going to transfer the data to this common folder. So all of you are going to make a use of this common folder. This common folder can be on the cloud. This common folder can be on what you can say. Consider that this common folder is like shared Google Drive. On the drive you will create one folder, and this folder is getting shared with all of you. And inside that you are putting your Java files. Over there also you will get one problem of tracking the history. Who has made what changes? How you are going to track it? See what I am saying again. Who have made what changes? How you are going to track it? For that also you need one software. And see, by considering all such aspects, right, you need something which is more rigid, and that is nothing but what the Git is. And that is nothing but what the Git. Now, Git says how multiple people will collaborate. What Git says? How multiple people will collaborate. How they are going to actually collaborate with each other. That has been written in a Git. Now see, the websites like GitHub, then Bitbucket, GitLab, right, AWS Code Commit, all these are the different websites which follow these Git guidelines. So what I said, all these are the different service providers: GitHub, Bitbucket, AWS Code Commit, and GitLab. They provide a Git system to you. They provide Git system to you. So you can consider these things are the servers. This is one server, this is another server, this is another server, which provides Git solution to you. Now what you need to do on your machine, Git SCM. You just need to have one software, or you can say Git client, or you can say what? Git client on your machine. Just whenever you open the page, a respective website or respective download for your operating system would be prompted, suggested over here. I'm using Mac, so it is showing you download for the Mac, which I already have installed. If you want me to record a video on this part, how to download or how to work with the Git SCM, I can do that as well. Well, in my course, I cover this in very detail, extremely detail, how exactly Git is going to work, what things are going to happen. I cover this in a lot of details, right? But I have restricted myself over here for 1 hour, right, 60-ish minute, and by considering that I need to explain all these things. Okay, so we have seen what is a Git, right? What is a GitHub, what is a Bitbucket, what is a GitLab, AWS code commit, and what is a Git SCM. Git SCM is a client on your machine. Git SCM is a what? Client on your machine. I will show you the minute you are going to install the Git client, and if you see Git like this, and if you hit enter, you will find something like this. If you see all these things, right, which means that Git has been installed on your machine. Remember that Git has been installed on your machine. Git has been properly installed on your machine. Git client, servers, these are the servers. Now I would like to show you a demo. Let me create one repository. Just go here. Well, I have already installed, or I already have set up account on the GitHub. If you want to work the GitHub, you need to set up the account. You can do that. Now go to your repositories, and here I can say Java FullStack YouTube recording, and you can say UUID generator. Let me create one random UUID, right, and this ID I will attach over here. So because I would be having a lot of these names over here in my repositories, but how do you differentiate? You just need to remember this guy, and from here you can remember. See now, GitHub says that I am going to support you unlimited public repositories and 5 private repositories. Unlimited public repositories and 5 private repositories, right? That's what GitHub says. It's a feature of the GitHub. I'll not discuss what is GitHub right now, but we will see Git related things. Now, if you see here, there are some commands. So once you install Git on your machine, what I'm saying, when you install Git client on your machine, this command gets installed on your machine, and you can fire the commands. Now see, I'll show you a demo. What I'm going to do, inside this repository, I am going to save some of the Java files. Now let's go here. I already have created a Java project for you. Over here, we are going to type some codes. Now here I will go main in a Java, and here I can say Java class, and here I will say demo Java. Okay, demo Java, and I'm using Java 11, remember that. And here I can say public void show demo, and something like system.out.println hello, like this I'm writing. Just save it. Now see, when I'm going to explain this little bit later on, but presently let me explain you Git related things. So this file you created, which editor it is and what or other things we'll discuss in a minute. But see, I want to show you, if you see, this repository is right now empty. There is nothing inside this repository. Now, being one of the developer in this team, I want to push my Java files to the central repository, and that central repository is nothing but this. Now if you see github.com and Java, this is the name of my folder, right? That is nothing but this one, that is nothing but what this one, this folder is nothing but this one, and all of the developers are going to push code over here. Now see, whenever you say git, it is the push, pull, commit, clone, init. There are some commands. When you talk about a git, it's all about commands. Now either you can fire the commands from the command prompt, or you can fire the commands, or you can use a UI. Now every code editor is giving you a proper UI for communicating with the GitHub or Git solution, I will say rather. So here I'm using IntelliJ IDEA, and IntelliJ IDEA is having classical, what you can say, UI or classical facility to communicate with the GitHub. I will show you now. See, well, how to communicate with the GitHub by means of commands, I'll not cover over here, right? It will take too much time. But just I wanted to show you how to share the codes, and you can enable the code sharing. Just go here, and here you can say enable version control integration. Version control means what? Version of the software that you need to maintain. So GitHub is also called as VCS, version control system. So the software which maintains the different versions of the files over the period of time, right? Now see, it becomes the red. Now the minute I'm going to say right click, git add, see, it becomes the green. Internally it fires the git add command. Remember that. Internally it fires what? Git add command. So git client fires git add command. Add means what? Enabling the files that you need to track. Enabling the files that you need to track under the version control, or in short you can say enabling the files that you need to upload on the Git. So it is nothing but that add command. Now see, commit. Commit means what? Here you can check which of these files you need to push it to the server, and which of these files you need to skip it from pushing to the Git server. So here I can say initial commit, and all these files are required. Initial commit, and I can say commit, message you need to give, okay, and then here you can say right click, git push. Now see, here it is asking me, see, first init, then add, then commit, and now push. The moment I'm trying to push, it is saying that boss, give me exactly which repository or in which folder I need to push it. Just go here, and can you see complete copy this URL, and you can paste it over here and say okay. Okay, and now say push. Now see, it is actually transmitting data from your local machine to the Git server. Now there are two concepts over here. One is a local repository and one is a remote repository. All the time local and the remote need to be in a sync. So remote, the moment you say repository means you are talking about this folder. Now refresh it from the local folder. Can you see now? Here you got some data. Here you can say the initial commit message, and under this initial commit message, how many files has been uploaded to this Git folder, you can see over here. And that's why these commit messages are important. That's why these commit messages are absolutely important. Well, this is about what you can say Git. Okay, remote repository, local repository, both would be in a sync. Now in this course, what we are going to see is a Java 11 or the Kotlin. Now you can become a full stack developer by using a lot of programming languages, but Kotlin and the Java are related, right? So Kotlin, you can say improvised Java. Kotlin is 100% interoperable with the Java. 100% interoperable with the Java. So whatever code you have written in Java, that code as it is usable in the Kotlin, and to the certain extent Kotlin to the Java is also okay. So nowadays most of the people are preferring Kotlin over the Java, and that is absolutely okay. If you are from the Android application development, or the mobile application development, you might have used the Kotlin, right? So here in this crash course, as far as this video is concerned, I'm going to talk about Java 11, right? But whenever I conduct the trainings for the corporates, or you can say individual batches, right, modular batches, at that time I have a separate course for the Java 11, full stack using Java and full stack using Kotlin. That also can happen. Okay, now here we are going to see in depth what are the features of Java 11. Now for example, you can say where name is equals to ABC. This is one of the feature of the Java 11. You can say this is what one of the feature of the Java 11, where. Now you can say local variables, instead of writing type over here, you can replace that type and simply write where. That is absolutely okay. So in this course, right, we are going to discuss complete Java from the variables to, you can say, features of Java 11. So whenever I conduct the courses, I conduct the trainings, I work with the detailed Java, detailed programming language. Understanding of the detailed programming language is very much important, and that's why I cover Java over there, right, Java 11. But from the basics, what do you mean by variables, functions, operators, classes, objects, where, whatever. And we are going to introduce the new features like file handling, like path and other things are getting added in Java 8 and above. Functional programming, lambdas, method references, and a lot of things are happening over there that we see in the detailed course, right? So this is about what? Java 11. So in the Java 11, a lot of things would be getting covered that you would be knowing, right? You would be knowing, or you might not be knowing, right? But we would be covering all those things. Then there comes the database. So when you talk about the database, right, we see the JDBC connectivity. How exactly JDBC connectivity is going to happen? So that we are going to see by means of Java, plain Java, Java 11, and then by means of Spring Boot that I am going to cover now. So database connectivity using Java and database connectivity using what you can say Spring, right? So we are going to learn what you can say MySQL and MongoDB. And what? MongoDB. Well, MySQL is a SQL database, while Mongo is a NoSQL database, right? Mongo is a NoSQL database, and MySQL people say SQL. Fine, MySQL, you can say it's a structured database, and this is unstructured database. So how do you connect to all these databases that we are going to cover? So connectivity is one part, but we are going to see some advanced queries for Mongo and the MySQL from the foundations of the database. What is the normalization, right? How do we create tables? What are the foreign keys, right? What are the constraints? A lot of things are there that we are going to cover in the topic of the database. Okay, then so we cover Git, we cover Java 11, then database. In the database, two databases we cover, MySQL and the MongoDB. Well, we are going to introduce the JDBC and JDBC connectivity that is going to happen by means of the normal Java. and then JDBC connectivity or the database connectivity using a Spring. Now next chapter is about the Spring. So we are going to discuss this thing in very much detail, because if you want to work with the Spring Boot, or if you want to work with the Java frameworks, Spring is one of the topmost used framework out there. Well, there are a lot of other frameworks are available. Vertex, right, another one, then Akka, then Spring Boot, and a lot of things are there in the market. But we are going to focus on the Spring Boot because industry focuses on the Spring Boot, and that's why we are going to cover the Spring Boot over here. So already I have created the project from the website called at start.spring.io, and here we create the Spring project, right? And if you want to make the database connectivity, let me take you through the project first. This is a demo.java that we have created. So whenever you create the project on start.spring.io, just click on the generate, and over here one zip file is given to you. That zip file I have unzipped over here, and here you can see this unzipped one has been opened in the IntelliJ IDEA. Now let's talk about the IntelliJ IDEA. Little bit about the code editor. I need to explain you. IntelliJ IDEA is a code editor. So throughout this course, we are going to use IntelliJ IDEA. Now see, IntelliJ IDEA comes in the two flavors. Just click on the download. One is a Ultimate Edition and one is a Community Edition. So whatever I am using right now is a Community Edition. It's a free built on the open source, but this is not a free. You need to pay for this. Remember that you need to pay for this. Okay. Now both the versions are available for the Apple Silicon and the Intel chips. Things are available over here. You can check it, and the features they have given over here. Well, IntelliJ IDEA is a classical editor for typing the Java codes or working with the Java, and for that reason a lot of industries are preferring what you can say IntelliJ IDEA over the Eclipse or the NetBeans. But all three editors are just code editors. Impact, who is going to make impact? Impact is going to be made by the developer who is typing the code. So remember that whenever you become a developer, editor is just a utility, that is a tool, but whatever things you are going to type, that things will come from here, right? So whenever you learn the coding, make sure that here concepts are clear. Editor and other things are just the utilities. You can use anything, no problem. So here, as I said, I just have created a project. Just click on the generate. Even you can see what things would be getting zipped. So these things would be getting zipped. YT application is there, and see the folder structure. Now another thing is over here, this folder structure is coming from one of the concept called as Maven. So this folder structure is belonging to the Maven. A Maven is a project management and the comprehension tool which defines how to build the Java application. So far you might have worked with the Java, and over there you might have run the program simply like Java space name of the program, Java space name of the program. Well and good, no problem. But at the production grade systems, it doesn't work in this way. So whenever you are developing the production grade systems, this doesn't work. You need to have a proper utility which helps you in generating what you can say the builds, documentations, right, reports, you can say testing reports, and everything that has to be done by one of the tool, and that tool is nothing but what? Apache Maven. Apache Maven. And if you see here, Apache Maven is a software project management and the comprehension tool based on the concept of project object model POM. Maven can manage a build, reporting and the documentation from a central piece of information. Well, I'm not covering that detail right now in this crash course, but Maven and the Gradle, like a Maven there is a Gradle. I cover these two things in very much depth. How to create the modules, how two modules would be integrating with each other, right? How to generate the builds, how to integrate the plugins, how to integrate some testing related things, and a lot of things I cover at that time. Okay, but fine, I'm just giving you the intro of this course. Now if you see, folder has already been created and it has been imported into the IntelliJ IDEA. Now let's talk about some Spring features. If you see here, or if you have worked before with the Spring, remember that Spring does all its magic under the hood by means of annotations. Spring does all the magic by means of the annotations. So single annotation is helping you to build production grade application. One annotation is doing a lot of things internally. When we talk about the Spring, remember that we talk about few annotations. You can say ABC, or you can say invoice controller, and we attach annotation over here at REST controller. Well, to do this thing, we need few dependencies. So I'll go to the pom.xml and let me get few dependencies over here. Again, I will go to the start.spring.io. So the start.spring.io is utility where you build the Spring projects. Well, it's optional. If you want to do something else, you can use something else also. No problem. This web I can add. Then I can add MySQL. Then I can add Spring Data JPA. Because I already have created a project, I don't need to regenerate it. Just click on the Explore, go to the pom.xml, and if you see here, there are these many dependencies. Just copy this. I'm copying it from here and pasting it over here under the dependencies tag. Now what is this and all that things we will discuss. I can discuss it in another video, or I already said that I discuss all these things, or I cover all these things in the detailed course, right? Detailed Java full stack development course. Okay, so if you see here, well, we talked about the Maven. Maven downloads the required dependencies from local repository like a Git. All the libraries that are required, that are stored either in a local repository, your organizational repository, or the central repository. So what is a repository? Let me show you first. Maven central, hit the enter, and if you see here, this is one place where all the Java developers have uploaded their work. Now if you see, you can say maths or maths. So some people came together, they thought that let's build a library which works with the maths. And can you see, this group has generated this artifact, and latest version is 17.0. And if you see, it is in the form of jar or the POM. Now consider that you are a group of developer, or you are the smart people out there, and you smart people thought that, well, we have developed our social media API or social media platform. Now let's make these API available to the public. Means from my mobile app, or I'm going to write a command. That command can post the data on our social media platform. So you have written some Java classes, and you said that all that API, application programming interface, API is nothing but what? Which allows you to communicate with your existing software. Now, for example, let me give you, so you have a fan and you want to turn on and turn off the fan by means of the mobile app. So what you will do, the manufacturer of a fan will write some code in the switchboard so that your mobile can get connected with the switchboard by means of the Bluetooth, and from here, from this mobile, you'll hit some commands and that commands will turn off and on the fan. That is the API, for example, I have given. In the same fashion, you have your own social media platform and some third party. Consider that your school wants to post your timetable on your social media platform, right? So you will develop some piece of code which is a bridge between your school and your social media platform. That piece of code which bridges the gap between the school and the social media platform, we call it as, that bridge, we call it as API. Remember that, right? Okay. Now, so things has been added over here. Now another thing I need to do, let me start the MySQL. Well, I have installed the MySQL by means of Docker, right? So I need to first start the Docker desktop. I think it is starting. Okay, Docker desktop has been started. MySQL is not running. Just click on the start and stop. See, don't worry about all these things, Docker and these things, right? I cover these things in very much detail. What's the Docker desktop? What is a container? What are the image? What are the commands? What are the Docker prompt? And a lot of things are there under the hood, right? That's happening over here. Just don't worry about that right now. Just consider that by means of Docker, my MySQL is running. Can you see this icon? This icon means what? Your Docker desktop is running. Even you can see the notification over here. Okay. Now see, now I was talking about Spring annotations. So Spring annotations are nothing but, first try to understand the annotations. Annotations are getting processed at a compile time. Means whenever Java is compiling, at that time these annotations are getting processed and some piece of code is getting generated internally. By looking at this, right, Java generates some code internally. That code might help you in starting the application, in booting the application like this. Now see, I'll create another class and I can say SMS controller. So this class, and I'm attaching at REST controller. I'll explain all this hierarchy. Then there is a class which we can say SMS service, and I can say at service over here. Then one interface. For just understanding purpose, I am writing it in one file, but technically you will write this in a separate file. You can say SMS repository, right, and actual class SMS, and at entity I can write here entity, and then we can say private long, or you can private long ID, private string to number 2, private string from, an actual text, right? So I will add one more dependency over here, Lombok. Sorry, I will add one more dependency over here, Lombok, and this dependency, just go to the explore, will create getters and setters. This dependency will create getters and setters. Then you can say constructors, toString, hash code on its own. So you don't need to worry about all that things. So whenever you make some changes in the pom.xml, this little guy appears over here. Just click over here to update the things. This guy will update all the required things. And if you see here, the moment you click over there, something is happening over here, some processing is happening over here. It is downloading actually. Now see here, I can attach at getter. Now see at getter, at setter, getters and setters, and here I can say at no arg constructor. Internally, no argument means default constructor would be getting created and all arg constructor would be getting created. Now at id, here I can say at generated value strategy is equals to generated strategy dot auto. Now see here, we are using Spring Data. So what is a Spring Data? Well, we have a little less time now. Spring Data is nothing but what? A framework which communicates with the database internally. The framework which communicates with the database internally. Okay. Now, one SMS table would be getting created automatically. One SMS table would be getting created here automatically. I want to show you that. Just a minute. But before that, we need to add some properties over here. Now, we can say Spring Data application dot. I know what are the properties are there, but I want to this is how I generally cover it in the course, right? This is how I generally cover it in the course. Means you need to know how exactly developer works, how developers work exactly. You need to refer to the Google, you need to go over there, you need to find out your query, and then you need to read, and then you need to come back again. Okay, just a minute. Mail cache Spring. Okay, application name. Yeah, see, these properties are important. Now if you see here, I'll explain it. Just hold on, let me complete the code first, then I'll explain you. This thing is not required. Root, and here JDBC MySQL localhost let me see JDBC MySQL URL, yeah, localhost 3306. 3306 is a port number, default port where database is running, and the name of the database, say customer underscore DB. See here. Now what do you mean by these properties? You know, if you are from the JDBC background, you know that if you need to get connected with the database, you need to know the URL. So here you are saying that, boss, this JDBC, internally it's a JDBC connection. I'm using the MySQL as a database, and my database is running on the localhost 3306, and there is one database, one schema that I have created already, and that is nothing but what? The customer underscore DB. That schema is already available in the databases. Now I will go here and I will show you that database is already there. I already have created. Okay, now see, show first. See this is CLI, and if you want to get connected with the MySQL, you need to know the username, say root, and -p is password. Yeah, I connected to the database. Now show databases, and can you see customer underscore DB is already there. Customer underscore DB is already there. Now, if you want to get connected with the database, you need to have a URL where it says which database, where it is exactly running, and the schema name. Then what's the username of the database and what's the password of the database. So these things in the Spring Boot you configure in the application.properties. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. Now, what I wanted to show you, you can say my application dot properties Spring Data show SQL, right? Yeah, these two. So what these two things will do, it will show the SQL on the console. Now here if you can see spring.jpa.show SQL, see spring.datasource.url, this is a default thing Spring has given. You just need to set this value, spring.datasource.username. So you cannot write anything over here, that's wrong. Spring has given some default things. So this thing is called as externalizing the configuration. Instead of you to write this in the Java code, see, I'm repeating again, this thing is called as externalization of the configuration properties. You can create some variables over here, right? String username, string password, string URL, but that's the bad, because this thing can be changed. So instead of at that time changing the code, you can change just this URL and that's it. So this thing sets the URL, this thing sets the username, this thing sets the password, and this thing allows two flags, show the SQLs on the prompt, and you can say format the SQLs on the prompt. Now just go over here, right, this demo application, just click this green icon and you will find something is happening on the console. Something is running on the console, see here, and Spring application is running, and over here you will find that, yeah, see, your Tomcat has been started on this port, and okay, at entity, add generated value, show SQL properties, hibernate, format SQL. Just a minute. Comments are the properties are wrong. So these properties are available anywhere easily. See here, JPA properties show SQL true, JPA properties format SQL true. Now let me run the project again. First, stop the running application by hitting this right click, run it. Well, one more property is missing, schema export. Yeah, one more property is missing, just hold on. Spring.jpa.show SQL. Just a minute, one property is missing. Spring data JPA. Just hold on, one property is there. Yeah, this one and this property, if I add it over here, Spring JPA Hibernate DDL update, and I think this is not required. JPA dot show SQL true. Just stop the application, save it, and go here and rerun it again, and hopefully we can see, yeah, if you see there is an error, no problem, but can you see create table SMS? See here, automatically database is getting created, automatically tables are getting created. And who is doing this thing? This thing is done by the Spring data internally. You don't need to create the table. You just have added some properties. One property, Spring JPA Hibernate DDL auto here. So we can say create, means if there is nothing, create it. If it is already table is generated, recreate it. Generally we use a update, but just for showing purpose I am using create over here. Yeah. Now if you see here, create table SMS, see your data table is automatically getting generated. Why? Whenever you say entity over here, whenever you say entity, this entity would be getting considered as a table. So this SMS would be considered as a table. There is a add getter, there is a add setter. Get and set would be getting generated. No arg constructor, you can say no arg means what? Default constructor would be getting generated. All arg constructor means what? Parameterized constructor would be getting generated. And see here at ID means what? So ID would be considered as a primary key, and rest would be the normal things we have over here. That has been automatically generated. See now. So this is the entity. Now in this way you can build any complex Java application within few configurations and simple lines of Java code. There are a lot of properties like this, right? A lot of properties are available like this. Just by configuring the properties, you can do a lot of things over there, right? So this is about what? The Spring Boot. So this is about what? The Spring Boot. Now we have very short time, otherwise I could have covered this things also. Well, I'll give you the intro. So whenever we talk about the microservices, remember that it's a design pattern. Whenever we talk about the microservices, it is what? A design pattern. And if you see Spring microservices, Spring what? Microservices. And there is a one library called as Spring Cloud. There is one library called as Spring Cloud. And in the course, we are going to cover this complete architecture. How do you build the API gateway? How different Spring Boot applications are there? Then how all these applications would be connecting with each other or communicating with each other. We are going to create a central configuration server. We are going to use the console as a service discovery. Then we are going to use the resilience 4j as a circuit breaker, right? And then the sleuth for tracing, and all that things we are going to cover in the course. But when you talk about the microservices, remember that it's a design pattern. Whenever you are talking about the applications at the large scale, right, writing everything like this in a one project will not work. Well, there is a meaning. What is at rest controller, at service? What do you mean by repository? There is a meaning. There is a meaning to each and everything. I can cover it in a separate detailed video, all these things, or you can join the training if you want to get all these things in very much details, right? As I said, I have already written my contact details in the description of the video. Fine. Now microservices, creating little Spring applications, right? Little Spring applications that will communicate with each other. Consider that we are developing a ERP. So this is a invoicing Spring Boot app, this is a quotation Spring Boot app, and this is what you can say a billing Spring Boot app. So these three Spring Boot applications are communicating with each other by means of something called as service discovery, by means of the REST, by means of the gRPC, synchronous communication, asynchronous communication. Over there you require the circuit breaker, you require the service registry, centralized configuration, and to control all of these there should be a API gateway. How that things are working, that we can see in the detailed course. Okay, then Angular and React. Well, I already have posted some videos on this, how to create the Angular project and how to create the React project that we can create. Means, so this much things will teach you how to write a backend. Now the task of this guy, how to write a front end. So this guy has completed the backend. So she and he, they have completed their task of writing a backend and the database. Now this guy wants to communicate with all this architecture, and that can be either Angular or that can be React. Both are possible. As a full stack developer, if you are knowing both the things, well and good, no problem. But either you can write the front end in the Angular or you can write front end in the React. Right, I already have posted videos on this, how to create the React project, how to create Angular project. You just see that. Right, now once you build everything till this has to be built in one image, a Docker image. Means you don't need to run the separate Angular app, you don't need to run the separate Java app, Spring app. That has to be done by one container. So you are going to put your database, your different Spring applications, databases and front apps in one image. That is nothing but what the Docker, right? And whenever you deploy the applications, you will deploy one Docker image, and that Docker image can do everything, right? Now after that there is a responsibility of the maintainability. It would be really great if you have a Docker CI/CD in place. Now these three things are related to the DevOps, right? So I'm going to cover the Jenkins CI/CD pipeline in detail. What I'm going to cover? Jenkins CI/CD pipeline in details. Means since from pushing the code to the Git repository to deploying the Docker image on the Docker hub, everything would be getting automated. And how that things are going to happen, that actually I'm going to cover in the course, right? So you are going to commit the code to the GitHub, your pipeline would be getting initiated, image would be getting built, and that image would be getting deployed to what you can say Docker hub. How exactly that things are going to happen? By means of the Jenkins pipeline, I am going to show you, right? And related to the AWS cloud, we are going to cover AWS code commit, then we are going to cover EC2, we are going to cover the VPC, we are going to cover what you can say beanstalk, right? Code, AWS code build, AWS code commit, right? And AWS code pipeline. How exactly that things are going to work with respect to the AWS, all that things I cover in this course, right? Well, this was little intro. I didn't get much time to focus on the things, and the intention was not focusing on all these things. The intention was just to give you what you can say a tour of this Java full stack course in 1 hour or 60-ish minutes. So I hope you got an introduction of the course. I hope you got a little idea about the course. So what I'm going to cover in this course. So if you have liked this video, please tell me in the comment box. Please give me your feedback in the comment box, right? And if you want to talk with me regarding this course, I already have pasted the contact details in the description. You can see that and you can contact me. I keep rolling out the batches. The training is in the different batches. Well, I deliver the batches for the corporates. I have done a lot of corporate trainings. Then you can say modular trainings. Professional comes to me and they ask me to cover these many things, and I do that also. And this full stack related things I cover in that course. Well, this is about this course. If you have any queries, questions, please talk to me or write it in the chat box. Write it in the comment box. That would be really great. Hope you have enjoyed this little course. And if you want to get more and more content like this, right, please do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.